Today, I'm going to explain a car racing movie called Initial D. Spoilers ahead. Watch and enjoy. The movie is set in Mount Akina, a small Japanese city, home to the country's best street racers. In this town, Takumi, a high school student, runs a tofu shop with his chronically drunk dad Bunta. Since 13, Takumi is tasked with making tofu deliveries and drives his dad's modified car all around Mount Akina. Over the years, the young boy honed his driving skills and became an excellent driver, capable of navigating the sharpest turns by drifting. Despite being a fantastic driver, the high school student keeps his skills secret and doesn't participate in street races. Instead, he works a second job at a gas station with his best friend Itsuki, the owner's son. Unlike Takumi, Itsuki has a deep passion for street racing but has no talent in the sport. One afternoon, Takashi, the leader of a top racing gang, stops by the gas station and challenges the workers to a match. Itsuki quickly accepts the challenge. At the agreed time, Itsuki, accompanied by Takumi, arrives at the meeting ground and races Takashi, being a poor driver. Itsuki completely flunks the match and enters into an accident which crashes his car within seconds. Later that night, while Takumi is on his way to deliver tofu using his father's car, AE86, he encounters Takashi. The AE86 is an old car, but an experienced Takumi makes up for its low speed with superb drifting skills. Despite having a faster vehicle, Takashi can't keep up with the delivery car and gets beaten in an unofficial race by the talented driver. As Takumi passes him, Takashi notices the car's model and a tofu shop inscription but doesn't quite see who the driver is. The following day, the gang leader returns to the gas station, searching for the mystery man who beat him in a race. Takashi narrates the previous night's events to Itsuki and his dad, Yuichi, and seeks their help locating the mystery driver. After getting details of the car's appearance, father and son have their suspicions about the driver's identity and promise to give Takashi an answer in a couple of days. Once the gang leader leaves, Itsuki accuses Takumi of being the mystery driver, but the shy high schooler denies this. Fueled by curiosity, Yuichi decides to ask Bunta, who happens to be his longtime friend, about the driver's identity. Right then, we discover that many decades ago, Bunta was also a talented car racer in his youthful days but had to drop the sport to take care of his family. That evening, Yuichi invites Bunta to a bar and poses the question to the tofu shop owner after having a few drinks. A drunk Bunta spills the beans about his son, revealing that Takumi is indeed the mystery driver. After disclosing this, the intoxicated old man passes out, leaving Yuichi to cover the tabs for the night. In the following scene, we see Takumi hanging out with Natsuki, an attractive girl who he has a crush on. After working up some courage, the shy high schooler asks Natsuki out on a beach date and is delighted when she accepts his offer. The duo eventually settles on a time, with Takumi promising to pick her up in his dad's car. On getting home, the young teen asks his dad for permission to use his vehicle, but Bunta refuses, explaining he'd planned to use it on the same day as his date. This news greatly disappoints Takumi, and he vows to do everything in his power to get the car ahead of his planned date. Later that night, Bunta receives a call from Yuichi asking for repayment of the bar bills from the previous night. The drunk man refuses to pay the bills but strikes a deal with Yuichi to settle his debt. Yuichi agrees to waive his bill if Takumi beats the gang leader in a race. Having confidence in his son, Bunta accepts the challenge and gets Takumi to race the gang leader. At first the high schooler is skeptical about revealing his identity but eventually gives in when Bunta promises to give him the car ahead of his date with Natsuki. A motivated Takumi finally reveals himself to Takashi, after which the duo holds a proper racing match to settle who the faster driver is once and for all. The match's location is set on Mount Akina, with many sharp turns to test the driver's steering abilities. At the start of the race, Takashi takes the lead, with his sports car rapidly speeding past the first straight road. Despite having a major disadvantage with his slow car, Takumi remains unbothered and patiently waits for the road's turns to catch up with Takashi. This decision eventually pays off as he overtakes the gang leader in the latter stage of the race, and wins the match. When returning home, Takumi is approached by Ryusaki, the leader of a rival race gang. It turns out that Ryusaki had watched the match and was impressed by Takumi's skills. As a result, he challenges the tofu delivery boy to a race. Uninterested in being a professional racer, Takumi politely rejects his offer. The following day, Takumi picks Natsuki up in his dad's car as the couple drives to the beach for their date. At the end of the day, both parties develop strong feelings for one another and seal the deal with a kiss. Meanwhile, news of Takumi being the mystery driver spreads across town, and Itsuki begs Takumi to give him some driving lessons. Later that evening, the duo heads to the mountain to practice. While they circle the area, a rude racer appears out of nowhere and bumps into their car from behind. Rather than apologize, the racer taunts the duo's shitty car before speeding off. Enraged by his remarks, Takumi decides to teach the racer a lesson and takes control of the steering wheel. He quickly switches gears and embarks on a fiery pursuit after the racer. Within seconds, he catches up with the car and tries to overtake it. Seeing this, the racer hits the gas and picks up speed as he makes a series of reckless turns. This eventually causes him to swerve past the road barricades, resulting in a ghastly accident with Takumi quickly overtaking him. The next morning, he learns from his boss Yuichi that news of last night's race has reached him. The racer from the previous night was a member of a professional racing gang, known as the Emperor Team. A concerned Yuichi warns him against racing the team, especially their leader, Kyuichi, a veteran racer with decades of experience under his belt. Hearing this, Takumi heeds Yuichi's warnings and makes a mental note to avoid the gang. That night, as Takumi drives home from work, he gets overtaken from behind by a speedy sports car. Not knowing the driver's identity, Takumi takes this as a challenge to race and accelerates to catch up to the vehicle. In response, the automobile also picks up the pace and increases the distance between them. Having a slow vehicle, Takumi tries to make his A86 hit top speed, but sadly, the outdated car engine knocks out from the overbearing pressure and stops in the middle of the road, with the sports car blazing ahead. Minutes later, Ryusaki and his gang arrive at the scene and offer to drive Takumi home. However, before the high schooler can respond, the car he was racing returns, and from it emerges Kyuichi, the leader of the Emperor Team. Alongside the rude racer from the previous night, Takumi immediately grows furious as the racer again taunts him with multiple insults targeted at his outdated car. While Takumi boils in silence, Ryusaki and Kyuichi converse and decide to race. The two gang leaders settle on a date and venue for their match and leave the scene after exchanging a handful of trash talk. Meanwhile, a livid Takumi resolves to shut the rude racer for good by beating his boss, Kyuichi, in a race. Having overheard the details of the scheduled match between the gang leaders, Takumi decides to get his car fixed. The following day, Takumi asks his dad for help in fixing the car. Bunta, a former veteran car racer, replaces the AE86's engine with that of a powerful sports car, exponentially upgrading its speed and power. After the car has been fixed, Takumi takes it for a test run but quickly runs into a problem. Not used to the vehicle's improved specs, Takumi struggles to drift as smoothly as he used to. Instead, he steps on the brakes with every turn, causing him to go even slower. However, this mild hiccup doesn't deter him, as he remains committed to winning the scheduled race. About a week before the match, Itsuki drives around town and spots Natsuki leaving a hotel with a man. Seeing this, Itsuki rushes to Takumi and informs him of her infidelity. The news leaves Takumi feeling depressed as Natsuki's betrayal crushes his heart. Fueled by his negative emotions, Takumi resolves more than ever to win the match against the gang leaders. A few days later, the match day finally arrives, with Takumi, Ryusaki, and Kyuichi all arriving at the venue. The two gang leaders are shocked to see Takumi has fixed his car and allows him to join their match. The three racers power up their engine and swiftly hit the tracks as the official gives the start signal. Kyuichi, having the fastest car of the bunch, takes the lead, with Ryusaki in second place and Takumi occupying the last spot. Nothing changes in the race's first half, with each contestant retaining their original positions. However, things soon take an unexpected turn as Ryusaki suddenly slows down, allowing Takumi to overtake him. Moments later, the drivers approach a sharp curve and try to occupy the inner lane. Takumi and Ryusaki manage to do this and drive past the curve in record time. Kyuichi, on the other hand, drifts into the outer lane and takes longer to overcome the curve. This single mistake costs him his lead as he tails into third place while the other drivers move ahead. Right then, the drivers receive a warning from the umpire alerting them to slow down as a bypassing car was driving through that route. All but Kyuichi heeds the warning. The arrogant Emperor team leader tries to use the opportunity to overtake his opponents. As he attempts this, he finds himself centimeters away from the approaching vehicle and swerves off the road to evade it. His car swiftly crashes by the road, automatically pulling him out of the race. The remaining racers continue their match, with Takumi desperately struggling to retain his lead. At the last 5 consecutive hairpin loops, Ryusuke speeds up his car and takes advantage of an opening to overtake Takumi. Right then, we discover that the gang leader had intentionally slowed down in the middle of the race to study his opponent's driving habits. Having learned Takumi's driving style, he had waited till the final lap to overtake him. Despite now being in second place, Takumi doesn't panic but instead maintains a close distance between himself and Ryusuke as he patiently waits for an opportunity to overtake. Seconds later, he gets his chance as the duo approaches the last and sharpest bend of the route. Ryusuke tries to make the inner lane but can't quite get it. Seeing this, Takumi ignites the AE-86's upgraded engine, allowing him to pass the gang leader. With this, Takumi takes the lead and crosses the finish line as the watching crowd goes wild. After the race, Ryusuke invites Takumi to join his race squad, but the high schooler refuses his offer. Instead, he immediately heads over to Natsuki's house to confirm whether Itsuki's claims are valid. On getting there, he spots an older man dropping her off with an affectionate hug. Seeing this, the heartbroken teenager runs home and ignores Natsuki as she calls out to him. On getting home, a dejected Takumi rings up Ryusuke and accepts his offer to join his squad, officially beginning his career as a professional racer. And that's a wrap for this movie recap. Thanks for watching.